Hello and welcome to another episode of May the Code Be With Us with KSP Rp-1. It's the 12th of November 1959. In the previous episode, I think I said, I was quite unsure as to how to proceed and whether to wait and try to do all satellite contracts with one launch or not. I have finally decided, and I have a plan for the next couple or maybe 3 years. I don't know how long it takes. First of all, you'll notice I don't have as much money as I did because I bought a bunch of upgrade points. We're now at 17 points, which means that why does it come back? Come on. Our research times are a lot more sensible now, and we're 90 days away from unlocking solar panels. And you notice I have queued up a bunch of case card 2s. Why is that? Well, this is one that is already ready and just needs to roll out. This is our launch for today. Has the mass spectrometer because, might as well put one in orbit. It will take the hour and a half, I think it's missing, to get all the data, and then we'll have that much more science. Hopefully enough. We need 6 science, so I'm not sure if it will give us 6 science, but hopefully. And then I have given priority to obviously electronics, so that gives us the solar panels, and then satellite era science, which gives us a bunch more of experiments. So we won't be having any new rockets for a while, but the thing is, not only can I do all of the satellite contracts with the gift card tool once I have the necessary additives like solar panels and the experiment that was required. I don't remember which one. But I think I can also use it to get, let's go here. Okay, improved film camera has to be brought back. It can be transmitted, but at a penalty of only 50% data. I don't know if this means that we can still then bring it back and get the other 50%, or if that 50% is lost forever. I'm not sure. But all these other experiments, I should be able to put them on a case card tool and get them the low Earth orbit info at least. So I really don't need, my priority right now is to get science points, and I really don't need another rocket for that. So I decided to go into prioritize these things. And also I have a way to, because the reason why I wasn't sure about being able to do the electronics contract was that it needs a 300 kilometer perigee, and with the design of the gift card, it meant that the first stage needed to get to at least 300 kilometers, possibly like 350 because of the time it takes to burn the other stages, and that would be really inefficient. So I thought, I couldn't. But then, part of the problem is that I don't have any guidance in the upper stages, so any burns afterwards, I cannot control them. Or so I thought. So my idea for this one is to put a couple of retro rockets in the nose of the final stage of the gift card tool, and then, so when it finishes its burn, it's going to be pointing prograde, and it's going to be a perigee, roughly pointing prograde, which means that on the other side of the orbit at apogee it will be pointing retrograde. So I burn the retro rockets, slurring the words there, retro rockets towards the front, which means it's technically burning towards prograde, giving me the boost I need for the 300 kilometers. So that's the plan. Let's accept this. So I'm going to fast forward the rollout, accept the contract, and then I'll see you on the launch pad. Okay, so here we are. So the contract is the polar satellite. It just needs to be between 85 and 95 degree inclination and in a stable orbit. So no minimum or maximum apogee and perigee requirements, aside from obviously above 140 kilometers. So I'm going to launch this towards the north, just so that the perigee is closer to, like in the north, around 25-30 degrees north, which is where a lot of the ground stations are. Because so if you see here, I have one of the Voscod antennas, which I hope it works, because I put this one because it's exactly the same weight as this thing, so it contracts quite nicely. This is the mass spectrometer. So yeah, let's launch this. Okay, yeah, I should change this to KSP Rp-2, but it's that one. So heading 355 to compensate a little bit for the motion of the Earth, and launch immediately. No need to wait for anything. Okay, nominal ignition and liftoff. And pitch program. Okay, we're close to Miko. And now, as you can see, this is a more efficient ascent profile than the one I did before, because since the rocket is much lighter, I can afford to pitch down a little bit more and get more horizontal velocity while still reaching a good apogee. So 197 kilometers is not bad. Now, an ideal orbit for this satellite would be to have its perigee inside the atmosphere, just not so much that it brings it back down, like above 80 kilometers, to get also the mass spectrometry from flying high in Earth's atmosphere. But I don't have the control to do this, and it would also mean I would not get the polar satellite contract, since it would not be technically in a stable orbit. Okay, we're all set and pointing in the right direction. And this should, at around 170 kilometers, ignite. So we're now within the target inclination. It's very good. So as long as it does actually get to orbit and it doesn't lose control and start pointing at wild directions, the inclination should be no problem. This is the probe, like the first stage that had the avionics unit. It's not this one. We have a lot of electric charge in this one. Hopefully at least for a couple of orbits. And that it's, I think I saw it's an hour and 20 minutes, less than that. Oh, I have this thing, why am I fighting with it? Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes left of this, so one orbit will be more than enough to get all the data. Nice view of the moon as a silhouette against the Milky Way. Kind of wish you could actually see the Milky Way like this from Earth. It's been ages since I've been to a place that has had a truly dark sky. Picked a bit of a wobble at the end, I'm not sure why, but it should not matter. There's orbit, so the contract will be complete. And if you see, we have more than enough delta B, so even if, with the added mass of a couple of retro rockets at the top, this should get the 1,500 kilometer apogee required for the, and obviously the weight of the solar panels. But did it take? Yeah, so it's just 2 minutes, and then just let this thing run through. What's 14.3 science? And we have the polar satellite contract. So now I will just, I mean, technically I don't need, according to what I read with Kerbalism, I don't need to follow this and the science will still keep coming. But I want to destroy this after it is done so that I don't have debris floating around. So I'm going to follow it around a little bit and come back with the total science. So, right back. Okay, just a quick thing. Right now we're quite close to apogee, and this is what I mean, that the probe will be pointing pretty much retrograde, so firing a couple of engines in the opposite direction will get us the kick. And to go from 190 kilometers to 300 kilometer per G, it doesn't really take a lot. I already tested this, so yeah, that's the idea. I still have 17 minutes in this experiment, and we have more than enough electric charge, so all is good. And also, yeah, well, of course, first polar orbit satellite, and we got a few altitude records as well. So, good amount of money for this mission. Okay, so one more update. The experiment was done a while ago, but now we finally went close enough to a station to transmit the signals, so we're at 19.3. So what was it, 14.3 before? Yeah, I think so. So 5 science point, which I think it's, yeah, we needed, I don't remember now if it was 4 or 6 science points for the next upgrade. But yeah, complete success with this mission. Unfortunately, that means it now has to die. Range safety. I went overboard with electric charge. I could have put a lot less. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. I like that it now, I think before, it did not ask you for confirmation to destroy the aircraft. So a misclick could be really bad. So we got exactly the amount of science that we needed. So we have another upgrade. Let's put it there. So how does this look now? So it's almost 1960. And both of these will be done before 1961. So yeah, I should have invested into upgrade points a lot sooner, and I think I'm going to do that as well with these funds. Go buy 4 upgrade points, since the we'll get decent amount of funds here, not overly generous. This is the one. Once we complete this one, we'll have a lot more money. So yeah, I think I'll just keep my funds at 100k just to have a money in case something goes wrong, and then put the rest into upgrade points. I think that's the plan right now. So anyway, right now it's going to be a lot of time warping, and I don't think I will launch another rocket until I have the... Maybe I'll play with the design a little bit to include the solar panels. That's about it. So I'll come back later. I'll probably record the other part of this episode in another day, but let's see. So I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. So we're here for a sunset launch, and this is actually by design. This is a solar powered rocket, probe, and I want to launch at sunset so that this is going to go into a polar orbit, and the idea is to maximize the amount of time that it spends in sunlight. Of course, as the year progresses, that will not be the case anymore. Unfortunately, so this is going to do the science satellite and the solar powered satellite contracts, hopefully. So I have the cosmic ray detector, I think it is. It better be there, right, for scientific satellite. Yeah, cosmic ray science. I think that's the one that I put. Unfortunately, it takes 90 days. So at some point, yeah, it's going to be moving outside its into the Earth's shadow quite frequently further down the line. So I don't know how long it'll take to get at this science, but let's see. First, we need to actually get to orbit. So I'm launching this south. Okay, good ignition. So it actually took a while to build this rocket because when I first tested it, it was okay. The rocket was good enough to do all the missions, except that the what is called the Aerobee telemetry unit, that it's what I was using as a probe, is actually quite power hungry. So to be able to have electric power for 90 days, I needed a ridiculous amount of solar panels, and it weighed down the rocket to the point that I could no longer reach the required orbit. So I ended up stopping it. I did not notice that I had already unlocked the Sputnik probe. So I swapped it for that one, which is much less power intensive, like 1 kilowatt compared to 100 kilowatts, I think it was. It was a ratio of 100 to 1. I don't remember if it was watts or kilowatts. But unfortunately, it was heavier. So this rocket is borderline being able to get to the scientific satellite requirement. I had actually removed the retro rockets and decided to go with 2 launches. This one for the science satellite and then another one for the solar powered satellite that requires the 300 kilometer perigee. But then I had already rolled out the rocket and everything, and I realized that the science contract required a 200 kilometer perigee anyways, and my ascent profile does not allow for that. So I ended up having to roll it back, put the bloody retro rockets on, and we might as well try both contracts in one launch. And I already have the other scientific instruments that we unlocked in these 2, except for the film camera, because that one has to be brought back. And also I decided Earth probes are going to be named after fantasy series wizards. So Rincewind from the Discworld series from Terry Pratchett. I am not very original with my naming conventions, and I'll probably even end up using something as mainstream as Harry Potter, but oh well. I also have a slight concern that to get the required delta V to reach the 1500 kilometer apogee, I'm overburning most of the stages, I think all of them. So I'm poking the test flight a little bit with this launch, but let's see how it goes. And exactly what I meant, thrust, loss of thrust on the engine. Fortunately, loss of thrust still allows us to keep the specific impulse, so the delta V is the same, it's just a little bit less efficient. But given the ascent profile, it shouldn't be much of a problem as long as it doesn't shut down prematurely. If we get to 180 in apogee, that should be enough. Okay, good. Now here comes the dicey part, fairing separation. They don't separate very smoothly. Yeah, they're getting stuck there a little bit. But they should fall away. Especially right now, we're going to start to pitch downwards and move the rocket away from their path. Yep. So the paint job will have some scratches, but nobody's going to pass close to it to see it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, good second stage ignition, and the first important thing. We do have a draw. That's because in my testing it was without the. It might be this, but well, if actually, yeah, okay, so we're good. Once we start getting low, I can just turn it off and we'll get our charge back. Also, let's see. Okay, 9.3. This is going to take a while. Like I said, I think it's 90 days to get all the data. Yeah, 90 days. I don't know how much science is going to give us in the end. It better be a decent amount for this waiting period. I don't have any other experiments in this. I did have the iron mass spectrometer in the first stage because we're still lacking some data from the upper atmosphere, but there was no reason to bring it along the rest of the stages, so it fell away with the first stage. Got that on this third stage, also with a little bit of stuttering from the computer. And the final stage. Picked up a bit of a wobble, which I don't like. It causes inefficiencies. We don't have that much delta V margin. I wonder why, because it usually did not oscillate. Maybe I did not put because the antenna and the, what is this, Geiger counter? Yeah, Geiger Miller counter, yeah. I think they're the same mass, so maybe I just did not put them exactly opposite to each other, and that's why. Okay. So we have the apogee, but our perigee is actually inside the atmosphere. So now I'm really glad that I went and checked back for the contract, and because this amount of atmosphere should not bring the apogee down very much. And well, the retro rocket should be enough to put us at 200 kilometer perigee at least, but I'm not sure if it will be enough for 300, especially with this wobble. But only one way to find out. I have to time warp to apogee. Okay, so we're 1 minute away from apogee. It should fire now. And excellent, we have the required orbit. So let's see. Ah yes, like why not? Yeah, okay, checking for stable orbit. Checking for stable orbit and transmit cosmic ray science. I don't know at what point it counts it as transmitted. Because do we have anything? 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is follow this for the 2 hours that I need for this contract. And then if I haven't gotten any science out of it, I'll try ordering the antenna to transmit and see if that does it. So I'll be back with that. Okay, so I'm back. I've done the 2-hour orbit, and now it only needs me to transmit the data. It has been running, of course, 90 days and only 10 data units. It's going to take a while to get even one of them. So I already tried transmitting data, nothing. So I think it's just waiting game. So I'm going to go back to the Space Center, probably spend my upgrade points on VAB, because these things are taking quite a while to build, and I'm already researching orbital rocketry, so I want to get to new rockets soon. So I'll speed up the building process a little bit, and well, next video I'll tell you how it went with this this contract. But I mean, we have the orbit and everything. It's just a matter of transmitting the data, and turns out actually okay. At times it's actually stable with the electric charge. Right now there's a little bit of a draw, but still. Okay, so thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you next time.